Hey, what's up, guys? Absolutely Beast here, bringing you a race on Forza 6. This is on Le Mans. This is a vintage Le Mans racing series that I'm doing, or race I'm doing. And this is with Ford GT40, which I'm in. And then there's the Ferrari, which is the sort of rival car that I'm racing against. So, those of you that don't know, in the mid to late 60s, there was this rivalry between Ford and Ferrari at Le Mans, and there's actually was said to be these meetings, these sort of secret meetings between Ford and Ferrari, and it's rumored that Ford was attempting to buy Ferrari, and that Ferrari agreed to the meeting and agreed to, sort of hear what they had to say. And then Enzo Ferrari, the owner of Ferrari, basically just, after the meeting just said, no, we're not going to sell it. And I think it's Henry Ford Jr., who was in charge of Ford at this time, was absolutely livid, just livid. And he screamed and yelled, and he told all his engineers and everybody, he said, we're going to smash Ferrari, we're going to make them look like crap, we don't care what it costs or what you have to do it. And what came out of that was the Ford GT40, which, ended up winning first, second, and third at Le Mans. Now, when they do Le Mans racing, a lot of the manufacturers will have multiple cars, because that way, they have multiple entries. It just gives them more chances to win, and all that kind of other stuff. So, they finished first, second, and third, which was awesome. And this obviously became a legendary car, and then they did a remake of it in about 2005, 10, 12 years ago. And then they did another, obviously the new Ford GT, which is the cover car for this game. And I do have a race upcoming with that, which I'll be coming up in the next day or two with the new Ford GT, which will be cool. But so you can see the Ferraris up ahead of me, the red ones. Their speed's a little bit higher than mine, so I couldn't quite keep up. Luckily there was sort of a bottleneck. Those guys sort of got bunched up, and I was able to come up and pass them. But there were two Ferraris there that I wasn't really able to get past. So, and then these other cars that are in here, there's a couple other cars, and I think they're a class or two lower, so they're not necessarily competitive. But either way, so today's video is going to be talking, I'm going to talk a little bit about Forza 7, and then it's just going to be, if it's anything like the last take I did, it's going to be pretty much a full-on rant about the Xbox One X. Not necessarily the One X itself, but just the coverage and the sort of spin that people have been putting on the One X just the last week or two, or even really since it got launched, or, well, not launched, but announced. Because I have some major issues with the way people are covering it and talking about it and stuff like that, so that'll be here after I talk about some Forza 7. So, I watched a video today of a guy playing, man, now I can't remember the name of it, but it was a site that I've seen before that's a reputable site, or sort of a bigger site, like i4G or something like that, I can't remember, but it was a video someone took, I guess it was on their cell phone, and it was of one of their guys playing it on the simulator at E3. Which was, they had like a fully hydraulic seat and like a big, big 4K screen and all that kind of stuff. And so he was racing on it, man, it looked so good. It looked so good. It looked. It's hard to even say. Okay, so I'll correlate it directly to a race. So in a racing situation, a lot of times on here, when you see someone that's faster than you or much faster than you. You can't necessarily pick out one corner to pass them on, to pass them on to be faster than them. So, like if someone's 2 seconds faster than you, that's not just like, oh, they took 1 or 2 turns better than you. That's like across the whole track, they're faster than you in every spot. And so for me, when I was watching this video of this guy racing it, I couldn't exactly pinpoint. Well, I could pinpoint one thing, but overall, it just, like, all things considered, it just looked better in every aspect. Which is good, because that's what you hope for. One aspect in particular was the camera shake and the shake of the car and stuff like that, which they've talked about a lot. They've harped on that a lot, and honestly, it makes a drastic difference. That's the first, because, like, it's one thing to watch, like, a video that they had, like a release trailer where it's all clipped up and stuff, and you just see, like, clip after clip, and just, like, changing angles and, like, a lot of cinematic angles and stuff like that. But to watch this guy race on the simulator, I got to watch, like, 3-4 minutes of just uninterrupted gameplay from the cockpit, and oh my goodness, it blew me away. Like, you could, like, they have the little air hoses in there that are, meant for, like, ducting air or holding wires or whatever, and they're just, like, shaking as you go faster, and the way the rain kind of, goes up off the windshield, almost like, after you come out of a car wash and it's drying your windshield, and the droplets just sort of like go up the windshield. The way it was doing that, the way some parts of the track, when it was raining, it started raining, and it just kind of started raining pretty quickly. It sort of slowly transitioned into it over 5-10 seconds. But like some parts of the track were clear, and then other parts of the track were really foggy. And there was a lot of spray coming up, and the windshield wiper started going, and then as it started raining harder, the windshield wiper started going faster. And I mean, just like the shake of the camera, like you could see, based on where he was on the track, just every little thing that was happening, and the way the car was shifting and bouncing. You could see every little dip in the track, and you could see, like, sometimes you hit a bump going pretty fast, and it would, like, it would lower your point of view, almost like your driver sort of like sunk down a little bit in the seat. I mean, dudes, it looked so incredible. I couldn't even believe it. I'm sure there's other videos out there of people driving in the simulator like that, but I couldn't even, like, it almost took my breath away. And the guy who was there with him, who was filming it, was freaking out about it. He's like, "Oh, this looks so awesome, dude. This looks so epic. I can't believe it." And, this is watching like a grainy, like maybe 720p quality video on like a, sort of a semi-shaky cell phone. And it was incredible. It blew me away. So, I mean, as if I couldn't be more hyped for the game, I just continually get more hyped and more hyped and more hyped. So I'm super excited. I'm pretty sure I'm getting the deluxe version so I can get the game early. I think I've said that a few times now. Forgive me if I have, but yeah. So I can't wait for it. I can't wait to bring you guys races on day one. Can't wait to do it. I mean, I don't know. At least from what I've seen, I don't see very many Forza YouTubers. So I'm kind of glad that I'm in this space because I don't really see a lot of other people doing it. And I mean, I have to assume there's an audience for it. I mean, especially the last few days, the last week or so the response has been really great to my Forza 7 videos. And so I'm super excited for that. I can't wait to bring you guys Forza 7 the day it launches and just be putting up videos all the time. Like I'm doing now, I want to be trying to upload every day. So, yeah, and then especially when it launches with the 4K and be doing 4K 60 games. Oh man, because I have to imagine even if you don't have a 4K screen, it should be able to show benefits even more. Now, I think YouTube is actually only 30 frames, I think is all they support for now, but, I would like to think that those sort of things would change given, the way 4K is starting to blow up now. So, that being said, I'm going to transition into talking about this Xbox One X. So, just like Forza 7, I check every day for new information, and there's one website in particular called AMP, and they're just destroying this coverage. Every day or every third day they put up an article that says something like Xbox One X pre-order delay update, and it's literally just an article from 4 days ago that they've copied and pasted, and it's really starting to rub me the wrong way, and it's really starting to just make me really angry and really start to despise these guys because they're not saying any new information and they're passing it off as new information, and it's really ridiculous. So I'm switching to cockpit view here. So there's a lot of confusion right now as opposed to when you're talking about the Xbox One X pre-orders and why you can't pre-order it. And initially it was thought, and I found this on my own when I was first looking at it, it said on the website that it has not been approved yet by the FCC, so until then it's not for sale. And that was reported initially, like first day or two or three, that's what people were saying. And then within about a week, people started saying, okay, we don't know why. And Albert Pinello, who's one of the lead marketing guys at Xbox, came out and said, we have some, what he said is something along these lines. He said that he made sort of a strange face and sort of his mannerism changed a little bit when they asked him about the pre-orders, and he said, we're going to do pre-orders a little bit closer to launch, and we have some fun things planned for that we haven't discussed yet, which makes me really, that piques my interest so much. I can't even, that's almost like the fattiest tease that he could possibly give for someone who's already checking daily, sometimes multiple times a day, to see if they can pre-order it. For him to say something like that is just, it's, oh man. So, I don't know what that means. They're going to surprise us. I don't think anybody saw the Scorpio coming. When they announced that last year at E3, I don't think there was anybody in the world that saw that coming. They just dropped it on us. There wasn't any leaks, there wasn't any reports of anything. They just dropped it on us, and we're like, oh yeah, by the way, we're coming out with this ultra powerful 4K console next year. So, yeah, there seems to be two sides to this thing with the Xbox One X, and both of them are honestly reprehensible, the way they're talking about this One X. So, and I see both sides. I see the console gamer side because I am a console gamer, and I see the PC gamer side because I've just gotten into that PC gaming the last 6 months. I don't have a PC, but I mean I've gotten into that whole area of learning about the stuff and learning about the specs and the different stuff that happens. And to say that PC is the best place to play and it has by far the best graphics, I mean that's an understatement. The PC, those of you who never played on a PC, if you play on a PC compared to a console, it'll literally make your jaw fall open and you won't be able to put it back up. I mean, it looks so much better. But from the PC gamer side, they're upset right now, and they're kind of butthurt because this console is actually outperforming them. Because the only card right now that's on the market that can actually run 4K at 60 frames per second is the GTX 1080 Ti, which is a $700 to $750 card, just for the card. Which means you need at least like a $1,200 system in order to run it. So that's what they're mad about. And so from that perspective, they're just trash talking the One X. Oh, you console gamers and your 30 frames per second, and they're laughing like, oh, it's only 1800p, and they use checkerboard rendering. But you know what? So what? You think someone could really tell the difference between 1800p and 2160p? That's only half the difference between 720 and 1080. If we're looking at it, proportionately. So to think that someone's just going to be able to tell, like the average consumer or person that wants to play in 4K, even someone who is looking for 4K is not going to be able to tell the difference. You have to slow it down and freeze frame and zoom in just to tell the difference in that kind of stuff. And to say that it's not going to be able to do that, and also the power's there in the console. All this talk about this, the game's not doing this, the game's not doing that, people don't seem to understand that has nothing to do with the console. The console itself is incredibly powerful, and it's possible to do 4K and 60 frames per second. That's what Forza 7 is going to do. That is possible. It's up to the developer, and a developer who's developing for two consoles is going to develop for the lesser of the two. So that's not going to say that they're going to develop a game that runs at native 4K, because it can't do native 4K on the PS4 Pro. And on top of that, they've said also multiple times that it's going to run better on Scorpio. So even if you're running a lower resolution, like 1800p or something, it's going to run better and smoother on the Scorpio, because it's more powerful. Now that being said, the other side of it is the console gamer side, which is saying, oh, it's so expensive, $500. If that's your response, then this console's not for you. They didn't design it for you, and you can just stop thinking about it, because you're not going to buy one anyway. If you think $500 is too much, if you realize the amount of technology they have in there, and the fact that they're able to do it for $500 is a miracle, basically. So I'm super pumped. Figure it out, gain some perspective. Thank you guys for checking out my stuff. Make sure you check back soon. Subscribe if you like my content so you don't miss anything. Thanks, guys.